I served my country for 20 years. I'm 65 years old now. And before you decide to change to the next video, I want to teach you something about relationships that I learned the hard way. When I was younger, I was like most of us at a young age, arrogant, certain, convinced I understood how life worked. I thought loyalty was automatic. I thought love, once earned, would stay forever. But yes, you guessed correctly. I was wrong. I was deployed overseas for the first time when I was just 20 years old. I don't know what age you are right now, maybe 65 years old like me, maybe 40, or maybe you're in your 20s. But here's the thing, at the time I had been with my girlfriend for 2 years. I really loved her, or at least I believed I did in the way a 20-year-old believes love is enough. She was my first serious relationship, the girl who waited for me after training, the girl who wrote me letters when I was exhausted, bruised, and questioning everything. She told me she was proud of me. She told me she'd wait, and I believed her. Before I left, I remember holding her face in my hands and promising I'd come back. She cried. She told me she loved me. She told me she could handle the distance. Looking back now, I realize something important. Love is not tested when things are easy. It's tested when nobody is watching. That first deployment changed me. War always does. You see things you can't explain to people back home. You carry fear quietly. You learn how fragile life really is. But every night I thought of her. She was my anchor. The reason I told myself it was all worth it. When I finally came home 2 years later, I wasn't the same man who had left. But she was still there, still smiling, still calling me her hero. 2 years after that, I married her. I thought I had won. I thought I had done everything right. Serve your country, be loyal, come home, build a family. 6 months after the wedding, I was deployed again. That goodbye was harder. This time, she was my wife. We had a home, shared dreams, a future I could almost touch. She kissed me and told me she'd be waiting. Again. Overseas, time moved differently, days blurred together. You learned not to think too far ahead. You survived one day at a time. We talked when we could, short calls, small conversations. If you're a veteran like me, you probably know this. I miss you. I love you. I can't wait for you to come home. Then one night, everything changed. I called her like I always did. Same time, same routine. She answered, sounding a little distracted. We talked for a few minutes, nothing unusual. And then I heard a voice in the background. A man's voice, loud, familiar, too close. He shouted her name. At first my brain didn't register it. You don't expect betrayal. Your mind looks for safer explanations. So I laughed nervously and said, "What was that sound, my love?" She paused, just for a second. Then she said, "Oh, nothing, babe, just noise from the neighbors." I believed her, because trusting her was easier than accepting the truth, because I was thousands of miles away, because I didn't want to imagine what that voice really meant. But that night, sleep didn't come. Something had cracked inside me. A few days later, I found out the truth. It wasn't a neighbor, it was my brother. At that phone call, I couldn't clearly recognize the voice because I was distant, but it was painful to find out that it was my own blood. The man I grew up with, the man I trusted to look after my family while I was gone. I don't remember screaming, I don't remember crying. I remember feeling hollow. That kind of betrayal doesn't explode inside you. It collapses you inward. I finished my deployment on autopilot, did my job, followed orders, survived. But the man who came home wasn't the man who left. My marriage was over before it had even begun. My relationship with my brother never recovered, and something else broke too, something harder to name. My trust. For a long time, I blamed myself. I told myself I should have seen the signs, that choosing service meant choosing sacrifice, that this was the price of duty. But here's a lesson I want you to understand. Loyalty is a choice. Distance doesn't create betrayal, it reveals character. I spent years angry, years guarded, years convinced that loving deeply was a weakness. That belief almost ruined the rest of my life. Because bitterness feels like protection, but it's actually a prison. What I eventually learned, too late in some ways, is this. You cannot control other people's integrity. You can only control your boundaries, your values, and your response. Some people won't wait, not because you weren't enough, but because they never were. I also learned something else. And this is important if you're watching this right now. Do not confuse endurance with love. I endured, I survived. But I didn't heal for a long time. If you're in a relationship built only on promises, distance will test it. If it's built on character, it will survive. And if it doesn't, that truth is painful, but it's also freedom. I wish I could tell my younger self this. Your worth is not measured by how much betrayal you can tolerate. Your strength is not proven by suffering in silence. And love does not require you to lose yourself to keep it. I fought for my country. I believed in loyalty, honor, and sacrifice. What I didn't understand back then was that those values must exist on both sides. If you're watching this and you're waiting for someone who keeps making excuses, waiting for loyalty without evidence, pay attention, because time will not fix what character won't. I'm 65 years old now. I've lived a full life since then. I've healed, I've forgiven, not for them, but for myself. But some lessons cost more than others. Don't let yours cost you decades. Choose people who choose you, especially when you're not there to watch them. And never forget this. The war didn't break me. The betrayal taught me who deserved a place in my life. If this story resonated with you, learn from it. Don't ignore the signs. Don't sacrifice your self-respect for the idea of love. Some battles aren't fought overseas. They're fought in the heart. And winning means knowing when to walk away. If you found some lesson in this message that I shared with you today, please consider subscribing to this channel. I will post more videos in the next couple days.